Welcome to the party, pal. You're from the neighborhood Master Chaos, back with you once again for the beginning of a new segment here on the channel. I'm calling it Movie Six Pack or Six Pack Reviews, something like that. Essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch 6 films from one particular label and bring you those reviews all in one convenient video, a la a 6-pack of said titles. Today, movie 6-pack comes from KINO LORBER. Now, the KINO LORBER sale is still ongoing, the June Swoon 2021. So I'm going to throw out some recommendations for you of some recent watches I've seen from KINO LORBER. Let's kick it off with And Soon the Darkness. This was what I thought was going to be a giallo, and it kind of is, but kind of isn't. It's a British film about 2 girls on a holiday in France. They're riding bikes through the French countryside, and then they run across a killer. It's a very well-constructed film. It's not as tense as I think the movie thinks it is. It does sort of limp along as the story develops. But that's not to say I didn't like it. It's very well acted. It's very well directed. I think the writing is very genuine. The dialogue is very believable. The characters are very believable. The situation is very realistic. But the movie, you're almost, in my opinion, I was almost always just waiting for something to happen. Okay, now the movie's going to ramp up. Okay, now it's going to ramp up. Okay, now is when, okay, it's not ramping up. Nothing, okay, it's just basically people driving bikes from one place and back to the other place, or running back to the other place, or taking a car ride to the other place. There's just a lot of traveling back and forth. The movie develops a little too slow for me, but it does have a really good ending. It has a great performance by Pamela Franklin, who's just a cutie. This one comes with commentary by Troy Howarth, which actually no, does it? No, my bad. No, yeah, it does. Yeah, Troy Howarth, and then a commentary with the director as well. Troy's going to be on Hollyweird next this week, so stay tuned for that. And Soon the Darkness. It's a moderate recommend. Just be aware it's a little slow. It's very, very close to I Start Counting, put out by Fun City Editions. Next, very interesting little spy film here from Alistair MacLean, who wrote the screenplay. It stars a super young Anthony Hopkins as a would-be James Bond. Now, it's got sort of the high-flying adventure you would expect from an Alistair MacLean, but the story is very small. I think that's the one drawback for this movie. The story is pretty tiny in terms of scope. It's essentially about this military man, I believe he's Army, maybe Navy, British Navy, and he is hired to find out why these ships, these freighter ships full of gold bullion, are disappearing. When a ship goes missing, he's on the case, and he tries to track down the culprits, and it leads to, double crosses and reveals and all that good stuff. But scope-wise, it is pretty small, but it's got some great set pieces. The finale is fantastic, and directed by, genre veteran and Bond veteran Guy Hamilton. And Anthony Hopkins has always fucking been good, and this is proof. I don't know how young he is in this, 30 maybe, and he's phenomenal. You know this dude's gonna be big. It's not a great film. It's certainly not up there with Guns of Navarone or, any of those type of, big action adventure type movies. But it's worth a watch. I think you'll enjoy it, but I don't know that it's going to become anybody's favorite, if that makes any sense. Still a really good watch. And, if you get it for $9, $7, it's worth a throw. Here's one I'm going to warn you about. Zero Mostel's Mastermind. This one probably does not age well. Zero Mostel, of course, is a Jewish actor, and here he plays a Japanese detective. Not just a private detective like Sherlock Holmes. Like, he's on the police force. So, looking past the fact that a chubby, Jewish guy is playing a Japanese guy with the eye folds and the accent. Looking past that, does this movie have anything else to offer? Well, the answer is no. The plot is overly convoluted. The comedy didn't age well. I'll put it that way. I would say it's okay, but it just does not age well comedy-wise. I think some people will find this funny. For the older generation, I think people will find this enjoyable. But the comedy's pretty lame. The plot is all over the place and nonsensical. I mean, ridiculously nonsensical. When you get to the ending, you're like, wait, what? No. What is going on right now? That's the kind of movie this is. And that's unfortunate. I wish it was a more entertaining movie. I wish it was a more on the rails type experience. And then, of course, you got the fact that, you got cultural appropriation, which is kind of a hot topic nowadays. Some people don't care, but for those of you who care, I would say probably... I wouldn't say he's necessarily insensitive about his portrayal, but it just might put some people off. It might just put some people off. For those of you who don't care, and you like Zero, he's okay in this, but he's been better, which is unfortunate. I got it for Zero, and he's okay. He never really made me laugh, which sucks. Okay, number 4 is More Dead Than Alive. This is a Western that was recommended on I believe it was Pure Cinema podcast when Tarantino was on last time with Elric and Brian. More Dead Than Alive, starring Clint Walker and Vincent Price. Vincent Price is in this. This is the reason I bought it, actually. I have no idea who Clint Walker is, but Vincent Price I do. And I've never seen him in a Western, so I had to pick this up. This is a very interesting film. I feel it was a little too muted. And Clint Walker talks about how he wanted to have a clean-cut type of movie. At least that's sort of what his appeal was. He didn't want to have a lot of sex in it and things like that. So the movie is a little dull around the edges. It's got a really great setup. An ex-gunfighter with a reputation. His name is Killer Kane. Has just been released from prison. He feels like he's paid his dues and he just wants to live a normal life like everybody else and give up gunfighting. Of course, everyone else will not let him do that because they either want to challenge him or profit off of his name. Interesting idea. Very, very interesting idea. But I think the movie thinks the more interesting story is him dealing with that trauma than actually showing us gunfights and action sequences. There are 0 gunfights in this movie. There is a little bit of action, but not much. This is technically more of a drama. It almost feels like a TV movie in terms of the punch it delivers. It's very much a muted TV movie type experience. It comes with an interview with Clint Walker when he talks about his history on TV and things like that. But overall, not a bad movie. Vincent Price is amazing. There are some really cool action sequences in this. They're short. And sparse, but they're there. Vincent Price is amazing. Anne Francis is fine as the girl. She doesn't really make much of an impression. And Clint Walker is good. I think he's a solid actor. He's a big dude. He was almost like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type. So it's really weird to see a dude like that, like back in the Wild West. Like, how did that dude get so jacked in the Wild West? I mean, this isn't like Conan. Let's talk a little more modern than we have. In the past few films. The Taking of Beverly Hills, starring Ken Wall and Matt Frewer. This is a balls-out action movie. This is a really fun movie. I remember renting this, being really excited to rent this in the video store back in the Disney. It has disappeared. It does not have the reputation of a Die Hard, a Lethal Weapon, and maybe it's because it didn't get a sequel. If it got a sequel, maybe it would have sort of made a bigger impression. I don't know how you would have made a sequel because it's very much a one-movie type of concept. But The Taking of Beverly Hills holds up. It's a lot of fun. This isn't the type of, Die Hard knockoff that involves a lot of gunfire, but it does out-explosion Die Hard, in my opinion. Die Hard's got the building, the Nakatomi Tower does blow up, the helicopters blow up. This has multiple houses exploding, buildings, stores on Rodeo Drive exploding. There's a lot more explosions in this than there is gunfire, so it doesn't make up for that, the lack of gunfire in that regard. But it is essentially a Die Hard knockoff. Ridiculous plot, I'm going to be honest. The stupidest story ever. The dumbest, only, cultivated in the 80s type of plot. Ex-cops decide to fake a gas leak so that they can rob the rich in Beverly Hills. So, they hey, everybody, you got to get out of here, evacuate, deadly gas. And then all the rich mansions are empty, so they go in to just, steal jewelry and shit. It's really stupid, but really fun. And so, who cares if it's stupid? It's really fun. You got Robert Davi in here, and of course, Robert Davi's the fucking bad guy. Everybody knows that from the beginning. The first time you see him, you're like, oh yeah, you're the bad guy. Ken Wall's pretty good as the lead. Matt Frewer, I think, steals the movie. Of course, Max Headroom, He steals the movie. Absolutely. Such a fun movie. Highly recommend taking it Beverly Hills. If you haven't seen it in a while, it does hold up. And if you've never seen it, you're gonna fucking enjoy it if you love 80s action. This has a commentary with Howard Berger and the biographer for the director, Sidney J. Furie. Alright, last on our 6-pack, let's crack open this 6th can with a Farewell Friend. Now, this is a very interesting movie. Directed by Jean Herman, or Jean Herman, I guess is how you would pronounce it in French. Starring Alain Delon and Charles Bronson. What a team up! What a team up! Very interesting movie. Very weird movie. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I liked it or not. This was another movie that was recommended on that podcast by Quentin Tarantino. Comes with a commentary by Howard Berger, Steve Mitchell, and Nathaniel Thompson, who's also going to be on Hollywood in a couple weeks. And then an interview with the director. A very interesting movie about a group of ex-military guys, like maybe Foreign Legion or something. These two right here. And Alain Delon is helping a girl try to break into a safe, and for some reason Charles Bronson gets wrangled in. I'm not going to give a lot of details because it's very convoluted. I'd be here for an hour trying to explain what's happening. And when they try to break into the safe, they get locked into this building over the weekend to try to break into the safe. So, as you would imagine, two guys in a room, it gets a little dull. It gets a little... Let's say the energy basically leaves the room. The energy gets sucked out completely and the momentum stops dead. Luckily, that's not the whole movie. That's only the middle of the movie. The third act is they think they've gotten away with it. The police are on their trail, and they have to play cat and mouse with the police and try to evade being arrested and, basically thrown in jail for being, bank robbers. Which, I'm not going to give any details away, but it's an interesting film. It's definitely a foreign film. It doesn't have an American feel to it, although everybody speaks English. Funny enough, the femme fatale in this movie is Thomas's mother from Deadly Games. If you've ever seen Deadly Games, Dial Code Santa, I always thought his mom was cute. The mom in that is the femme fatale in this movie who tries to seduce Alain Delon. Really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Overall, I think it's a solid picture, but one that, while I was watching, I'm like, I just don't think I like this. This isn't really going in a direction that's interesting to me. But the ending wraps it up, and I think it ties it in a neat bow, and it becomes a double cross, caper, crime thriller kind of thing with the police. It was a very interesting movie, very unique experience. I gotta say, I recommend it. And that's it for my first movie 6-pack, where we featured Kino Lorber, because the sale's still ongoing, and it'll still be going until July 14th, 2021, so I would suggest you jump on that. Actually, to be honest, I don't know if any of these are there, but Kino has frequent sales, so make a list and check it twice, and you're going to enjoy yourselves. So, one more time, Farewell Friend, I do recommend it, but just be aware it has a slow build, it doesn't really pay off till the end. Taking Beverly Hills, 100% recommendation. Thumbs up for me. More Dead Than Alive, I don't recommend it because it's kind of a slow burn, a little dull around the edges, but the performances are really good and the plot is really good. But I can't give a 100% recommendation on this. Unless you're a super Western fan and you haven't seen this, grab it for Vincent Price and things like that. Mastermind, do not recommend. It just doesn't hold up. It's the people who are a little more sensitive to cultural things, you're probably going to be turned off by this movie. And When 8 Bill's Told, I love it. I think it's a really good movie. It's not great. It's not a big epic spectacle, but it's a nice espionage-y, crime caper type of movie, a la Alistair McLean. So I do recommend that. And lastly, And Soon the Darkness gets a moderate recommendation. I'd say about a mid thumbs down, thumbs up. I almost gave it a thumbs down because nothing really happens and everything develops so slowly. You're like, come on, movie, come on. We get it. We don't need to see her riding the bike. Just get to the damn plot. But the fact is, there really is no plot here. There is not much to develop. That's why the movie limps along, and that's unfortunate. So you know what? I'm actually going to not recommend And Soon the Darkness. Unless you love Pamela Franklin, and who doesn't. There's I think there's a little bit of nudity, but that's it. There's only one kill in the movie, so there's not a lot of gore. It's a very slow thriller, but I feel if you want to just plug your holes plug your holes in your collection, I should say, then maybe grab it. But just be aware, it's not a slasher giallo type of movie, for better or worse. Okay, pal, that'll do. I hope you enjoyed this movie 6-pack. I'm gonna have one more coming fairly soon. I'm doing one for Arrow Video, the Arrow Video. What do they call it? The Summer Camp Sale 2 is starting up, so I'm gonna have one for you coming up next. Another 6-pack with some recommendations and possibly some warnings, the stuff that you might not need to add to your collection, at least at the moment. For now, my friend, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I really do. Appreciate you giving me the time of day, and I honor our time together. I love you. I love you just the way you are. Take care of yourself. We'll talk soon. This has been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos, signing off for now. I remain to be continued.